Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Halton Catholic District School Board Trailblazers. My name is Jon Callegher. I'm an employment researcher, and I am very happy to be with a new group of supporters of the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program in the Halton Catholic School Board. Joining me is Ethan, an OYAP participant who's exploring the field of plumbing. Carter, another OYAP participant exploring general carpentry, and Celina, certified hairstylist, business owner, HCDSB OYAP alumna, and an OYAP student employer. Celina, you get the last intro because your bio is so long as an alumna, and I'm looking forward to maybe in the future reading longer bios from Ethan and Carter. It's very exciting for them to be sort of at the start of their interest in skilled trades. Ethan, I want to start with you. How did you get interested in the field of plumbing? And for you, what's been the personal biggest benefit?
So when I first started to get to looking at plumbing, it was when my uncle during the COVID-19 pandemic, he used to do work for restaurants. He used to make menus for different restaurants. But he decided to go back to school and did a 2-year program at Sheridan to get into plumbing to build a resume, and then he could leap in. And he ended up showing me all of his projects from schools, and then I even took a course at Sheridan that he taught with one of his teachers to about plumbing to get kids more interested in the trade. Um, and that was a big drive. He no longer does plumbing. He was hired as an HVAC guy because his professors liked him so much that he wanted him for his own business. But I really enjoyed seeing the work that he did, and when I did it myself, I found it really fun, and it was better than what I was doing at the time. I originally wanted to go for either a doctor or engineer, um, and I honestly really liked plumbing a lot more. I was a lot more happy when I was doing it, and I worked with him a lot, and we've worked with each other since as plumbers, doing stuff for family,
Right?
um, which has been great. A big personal benefit is I'm definitely a lot more happy doing plumbing now than I was when I was just like in school trying to figure out what I wanted to do and some of the other work. I just found that plumbing was a great thing to go into, and I've really liked all the people in it. And it's been something so great to learn that I haven't needed to put in any effort to learn, that I've just naturally wanted to um, learn about it.
Terrific, Ethan. I can tell like the passion's really coming through. Also, nice
Hmm.
knowing you were introduced via a family member, your uncle. I hear that a little more often too. People get introduced through
Hmm.
members of their family or extended family. Selena, how about you? How did you start off in hairstyling, and what's been the biggest
Um,
benefit?
so I started off, young. My sister, she's 7 years older than me, and she got into hairstyling before I did. And we'd always kind of just sit at home and play around with each other's hair. My aunt was a hairdresser. My uncle's a hairdresser. It kind of runs like down the line of the family. Um, and it was just something that I was always just into as a kid. Like I used to cut my Barbie's hair, all my dolls. My mom just she hated it. Um, and it just a personal benefit would be that I get to work with my sister all the time. I get to be with family. I get to, socialize with new people every day. Um, and it's something different all the time, which I
Right.
like. Yeah.
I often hear too that hairstyling is the type of career where you wake up in the morning and it's guaranteed you're going to make people smile every day too as part of your job.
Yes. It's very rewarding, when you can make somebody smile at the end of the day or feel more confident about themselves or, even just them getting something off their chest in that 45 to an hour, that you're with them and just making
Right
them feel
on.
it's definitely rewarding for sure.
So, Carter, we heard two instances of being introduced to the trade through a family member. Was that the same case for you?
I've always had family in the trades, but never introduced through there. When I got into grade 10, I took a construction course. From there, my teacher, Alan Nason, just showed me just introductions. He's always trying to get people into it, no matter who you are, no matter where you are. And from learning from him, I just saw that no matter who it was, no matter where it was, he would help whoever he can. And in the end of grade 10, he asked me to join a co-op program to build the tiny home.
Okay.
And I just took a chance. He said, if you don't like it, you can back out. So I saw that no matter what, he always just tried to help people. So I just took a chance on him and I ended up loving it. And now I'm at Mohawk trying to get my level 1 apprenticeship for general carpentry.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little more about that and tiny homes today. So, a great insight too that we've heard. I hear this often too, that skilled tradespeople help others in their jobs, something that maybe isn't talked about enough. I'm glad you brought that up. Celina, when you were in high school, why did you originally enroll in the OYAP program? What was it like for you? And can you say a bit about how the role played in where you are today?
Yeah, so I enrolled in the OYAP. I actually had no idea what the OYAP program was. I was doing cosmetology in grade 9 and 10, and my teacher, she scouted me out and she's like, "Hey, I think, you should really, sign up for this program. It would be great for you." And it was the OYAP program. So I looked into it and I was like, "Okay, like this is cool." I think at the time it was like $200 to sign up. And I was like, what do I have to lose? Like, why not, right? I get my license. If I decide that I like it, I'm a licensed stylist by the end of high school. Or, I think you had to do one more year after, or semester. And I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Like, it's a great opportunity. And if I don't like it, I go off to college and continue on something else, right? So I ended up doing it and did my interview and everything. It was great. Um, and the program it was like perfect for me because I'm a very hands-on learner. I need to like physically touch. I need to do it myself. I can't just like I have a hard time just reading a textbook and making notes and fully comprehending. So the program had a good balance of both of um, oh my goodness, what's the word that I'm looking for? The hands-on aspect of it as well as,
Classroom.
classroom work, yeah. Which really worked well with me as well. It brought me to where I am today. I have my own business. I was able to get into the field young, start working right out of high school. Even while I was in high school, I was working in a salon as an assistant. I would wash hair and sweep the floor,
Mhm.
all the stuff that nobody wants to do. And yeah, brought me to here in my own
It's great.
salon.
It's great, and I'll ask you a little more about your business a little later. But it's often the case people realize they want to have their own business after they're an employee for a while.
Yeah, honestly, I knew right away, like when I signed up for OYAP and I started loving doing hair, I was like, I want to have my own business. Like that's my end goal. I want to work for myself.
Excellent. Thanks, Celina. Ethan, you're attending Sheridan College's Level 1 Accelerated OYAP dual credit program. Can you tell us
Mhm.
about that program, why you chose it, how's it going so far, and what you've been learning?
So I chose that program because it was the fastest way to get your apprentice hours counted to get signed, and it was the fast way to go to Apprentice One. So they said, "Hey, you got to go to basic sometime throughout your co-op, and then just finish the other 4 months will be your co-op time." And I was like, I was going back for co-op anyways, so. Going to apprentice, that's a couple thousand hours into your apprenticeship that you would go for basic. So it's kind of a way to kind of skip all that and do the school while I'm still in high school. So that was the main draw for it. I'm set to start in April, and then I'll be going till June till the end of the year. So I'm actually really excited. Um, I'm trying to learn as much as I can before going there. And I'm really excited. I've had like we have a couple guys out at my company that are at their final terms, and like I've talked with the guys who have been to all their terms of school, and it sounds like it's a great learning experience, especially in basic and intermediate, um,
Excellent.
to learn about the trade.
Is there anything you're most excited about learning?
Uh, probably. Probably a, threading and grooving.
Okay.
It's probably the big stuff. Yeah.
Great, great. And Carter, thanks, Ethan. Carter, you worked, as you mentioned, with Tiny Home Building Project in the Halton Catholic District School Board and in partnership with Habitat for Humanity. How did you get involved with that? And what's something you learned or gained from that experience?
When I started there through my co-op program, it was at the high school, and I just started working on a tiny home where I learned everything from the rough part of it, rough carpentry, which is just the framing, and that's just construction. And then the finished part of it, that's the drywall, the painting, the mudding, the installing, like the fridge, cabinets, stuff like that. And after my first year there, I learned as much as I could to where my second year, I was able to lead and direct other students that are just starting out in that program. And I was given a really rare opportunity that I took full advantage of, teaching how to read blueprints and as much as I learned.
And Carter, did you always have leadership skills or did you discover it along the way?
I didn't have any leadership skills starting out. My teacher noticed that I wasn't as extroverted as others, so he just kind of forced me into it, which I am so thankful for. I learned how to properly communicate and share to the other students that are just trying to learn how to properly do the work. And it was one of the best things he could have done for me.
It's great. I like how both Carter, yourself, and Celina, you mentioned sort of teachers sort of pulling you out and sort of helping you get exposed, discovering something new about yourselves. Uh, Ethan, what, in your opinion, does it take to be really, really good at plumbing that you've learned so far?
I think one of the greatest things, or one of the biggest things, is that I've seen from other co-op kids that have come either before me or after me, is you have to be actually wanting to do it. What makes a good co-op kid is a co-op kid that is trying to think about themselves. Like you're not going to get everything right. It's a hard trade. There's all these different things that you have to remember. But as long as you're thinking about it, thinking about what they're going to do, and then seeing what they do, and then realize why they did it. If you can just think about that, you'll get much farther than many co-op kids. That's what I try to do because I actually really wanted to do it. I feel like some of the call, from what I heard, like two of the call kids that came after me, they weren't really in it that much. They were kind of exploring it, but I went in already knowing that I wanted to do this. So that's just how I thought about it. And I had some background knowledge from my uncle and stuff. So it helped me just being in it and talking with the guys and figuring out why they do things that that allowed me to get um such a good experience from co-op that I really
Right.
enjoyed.
That's great advice too. I like that term too, co-op kids. That's the first time I've heard that actually.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
That's what they're called. They're called the co-op kids.
Um, and I like that. Be curious, ask questions, and people notice and perceive you as someone who wants to learn more,
Hmm.
to climb the ladder. Celina, is that good advice? And for a young person who wants to advance in the trades, and for yourself, what skills or qualities are required to be a good hairstylist?
Yeah, I think that's great advice. A lot of the times I myself am now experiencing where I'm taking on co-op students. Um, and sometimes you can tell the ones who are in it and they want it. They want to be a stylist, they're engaged. They're basically taking the brushes out of my hands, like, let me do it, let me do it. And then the ones who are kind of just here because they have to be, which, that's okay too. But yeah, you can definitely, that is, good advice, like being in it and knowing you want to do that. Um, and one thing, that makes you good at being a hairdresser is, I would say, really being good at your haircuts. That finishes your work, and you're finishing your haircuts and your blow dries. Your finishing definitely, it showcases your work, your color, it showcases your extensions, whatever it is that you did to the hair. Um, as well as, being able to to talk to people and having, an open mind to things that they're saying and kind of not having an opinion. Not having an opinion, but being able to kind of keep your opinion to yourself and just listen, to just be a listening ear, I guess is what I should say. And if you can do that, then you're good.
Good. Say just enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to say too much, and yeah, not too little.
Thanks, Celina and Carter. General carpentry. What skills or qualities are required to be really good at it?
Uh, Celina and Ethan touched upon this, but you can notice if someone is dedicated. But one thing I think is very certain about general carpentry is a lot of times you have to be very specific with how you do your work. Now, if you're doing finished work, you need to make sure it's right on, you need to double check it. And I think a lot of people can sometimes rush that. And just sometimes being able to change things on the go, being able to figure out solutions while you're there, because the blueprints, they won't always be right.
Mhm.
So sometimes you just need to go with your gut, figure, gather everyone, figure out what your solution is going to be. So I think in general, it's going to be able to adapt and just be precise and just do it the best you can.
Awesome. Great advice for anyone watching and interested, want to make a good impression as a new co-op student, OYAP participant. I ask you all in advance to maybe bring a tool, something that you can't do your job well without, can't live without tool. I'd like you, if you wouldn't mind, just show it to everyone watching and just say a little bit about what it is. Okay,
I
Ethan, you're
do. I
first.
do.
Go ahead, Ethan.
Great. So my pair of channel locks, these ones were actually given to me by my uncle, which is great. This is the first tool that I ever got from a non employee at my company. Dylan was the first one to give me my Milwaukee marker and tape measure. But these are your bread and butter in plumbing. These do everything. Supply lines, ABS drains, works as a hammer. It does many things as it has many uses, and this is the first tool that you're most likely going to grab for anything. Um,
Panel locks.
this channel locks, yes. This guy, this a, multi-tool. It is a clean tool. It has a little bit of a story behind it, which is why I kind of like it so much. It's been one of my favorite tools. So it has all your nut drivers. It has tons of different types of bits in it and stuff. But the main reason is why I like it is because this was a lost tool. So some HVAC guy has lost this, and I just found we were working in a ceiling, and I see this beside a piece of HVAC work. I'm like, oh my God, there it is. So I grab it, and first I always check it to see if there's a name on it. Because hey, if there's a name on it or a company tag or a number, I can give someone their tool. This is like a $60 tool. But there's nothing, and this has sat here for a very long time. So if there's any HVAC employee who has lost this tool and can call me, I'll give it back as long as you can tell me where you lost it. Um,
Excellent.
but it's a great tool for me to have.
I like that. We used to say finders keepers,
Yes.
but that's very generous of you to put the word out. And for anyone who's new to some lingo, Ethan has mentioned HVAC. That's heating, ventilation, air conditioning technician. Very exciting skilled trade as well, too, installing the heating and cooling into new homes and repairing them. Carter, what did you bring, and did you find it somewhere as well?
No, I did not find it like Ethan did. I brought a measuring tape because no matter what, I always like to make sure that it's right on point. Like I said earlier, a lot of the time you have to be very specific. And no matter what job I've been to, no matter what it is, I've always had this because it can always apply, no matter if it's set up or what you're doing. And I just always find it's the most reliable tool you can use to properly get the job done.
Awesome. And does that measure have both inches and centimeters?
Yes, it does.
Good. Those are hard to find, I've found.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
well,
Celina,
I brought my scissors. These can't cut hair without them, so I need these. And these are actually my very first pair of scissors that I ever had going into hair cutting. They were my first expensive pair, I guess you could say. Um, these range anywhere from like 300 to like $1,500. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, having a good pair of scissors definitely makes your haircuts. It allows you to do your craft. There's a whole world of scissors and what kind of scissors, for each type of skill of cutting.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, these ones are my favorite because they are my very first pair. So,
That's special. So, would you think that is sort of a gift to give someone who does eventually complete their certification, or a good holiday present for someone who's in your field,
oh,
is
for
willing to
sure.
spend?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I ask my husband all the time, I'm like, can you buy me a pair of scissors? Because yeah, they're expensive. But yeah, they are definitely a good gift. I did get a pair for my one of my apprentices I did have once she passed her exam. I gifted her a pair of scissors, her first pair
Great.
of scissors. Yeah.
Well, that is new information to me. I had no idea they had that sticker price.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Like my clients are like, "Wait, those are how much?" Like you don't want to drop your scissors. You don't want other people touching your scissors because
Yeah,
they can get very pricey.
very good to know. Let's move on to some myths and misconceptions. Carter, general carpentry, what are some things that you've discovered maybe that people misunderstand about the field? And you want to correct the record.
Yeah, a lot about general carpentry, like I've said multiple times, is specific, but I think a lot about all the trades. There's specific to everything, and you have to
Hmm.
work with every kind. You have to work with the plumbers, you have to work with the electricians, and I think a lot of people might think that construction is just one field that you all just work on. It's not. It's everything, and you have to collaborate with everyone to make sure that house is up to code. And I just think that's one thing not many people think about when they're driving past a big construction site.
That's a very good point. Or see a hard hat and a vest and just construction worker, a
Yeah.
blanket statement. There's so many fields. Great answer, Carter. Celina, how about you in terms of any myths, misconceptions about the skilled trades or your field?
I feel like there can be a lot of misconceptions about hairstyling. People think that it's not a real career. I've gotten that a lot. People ask me if this is my part-time job, um, or that we don't need much education, but there's a lot of science and chemistry that goes behind um, hair coloring and all the different types of hair color and what you're mixing and um, as well as it's not easy. It's very physically and mentally like demanding.
Hmm?
uh, and as well as keeping up with client expectations, keeping up with your trends and being always on with the new trends that are going on.
Definitely. And Ethan, what do you want to correct? What could you correct about people's understanding of plumbing?
Um, Probably the one who would make my life easiest is what goes down your toilet. It's just toilet paper. The things that I've pulled back from dirty toilets, I could write a book and no one would believe me. Like glow sticks. I've seen glow sticks. Like why? Why glow sticks? Um, but I think on a more serious note, one of the biggest things is I want to correct that plumbing can take you a lot of places, and a lot of those places are different than where you're going to start. There's a lot of things that you can do in plumbing. You can start your own business. You could do it as a side thing. You could do plumbing, get your ticket, and then move on to something else, or use the money that you get from that. You could go work in the union and you can do high rises. You could go work on an oil rig and do stuff there. You can do remote plumbing. There's so many different types. You can also get your gas license, which allows you to open up to boilers and stuffs and gas heaters and all that stuff. Tankless hot water tanks. Um, There's so many different, or your backflow certification for agriculture, or you can do agriculture. There's so many different places that plumbing can take you. That just looking at plumbing as your one-way avenue and that's what you're going to do, you're just going to do plumbing. I think that's a misconception. I think people need to look at plumbing as a stepping stone to get to where somewhere you want to be. That's not to say like, oh, that I'm shaming anyone who just wants to be a service plumber for the rest of their life. I've done service. Service is fun. It can be fun. There's some people that want to go a step above that and work on bigger jobs, and that's okay. But you should just look at it I feel like looking at plumbing as a stepping stone to go somewhere that you want to is a lot better than looking at it as a dead end where you are going to go.
Right on. No, I think that's a great answer. I think you opened many people's eyes to the whole world beyond, as you said, service plumbing and those many other areas. I think I'll be calling on you at some point in the
Mhm.
future, Ethan. Uh, Celina, I just want to ask you about your business, M&Co Hair Studio. And if you could tell us you mentioned a little bit earlier, but say a little bit more about what inspired you to start your own business. And if you didn't know, Carter here also has mentioned in the past that he would like to have his own company in carpentry in the future. As a business owner, is there some advice you could give to Carter?
So I got into, what kind of pushed me to open my own business is my dad is he owns a restaurant, so he's always been an entrepreneur himself, um, as well as, extended family. And I wanted to follow in his footsteps. I always wanted to be my own boss. I never actually had to work for anybody else except for when I was doing my hours to become a stylist. Um, Otherwise, I worked for my dad, and I kind of did my own thing. Um, he definitely was my inspiration, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. So
Right.
he helped me get to where I am and guide me in the path that I should go, and what steps I needed to take to be where I am today. Um, and a piece of advice would be master your craft, but also learn business side of it as well. Um, that's very important, marketing, your financing, being good at
Mhm.
customer service, and managing people. Customer service is super important. You always got to keep the customers happy, no matter how hard it can be sometimes. You just got to put on a smile and just do what it takes to make them happy because that's going to bring you more customers, more business at the end of the day.
Right. Carter, what's your initial reaction to that advice, Selena?
I'm gonna need to get a lot better at communicating. And
That's important.
yeah,
Super,
Yeah,
super important.
yeah, start somewhere, right? And that's good. Knowing this early on, not a lot of time has to pass before you get better and better at it. I've met many soft-spoken individuals who are right in front of large audiences today, just a few years later, after deciding on one or a few areas to improve on personally. Communication skills, I think that's great. And yeah, the customer is always right, especially if you want to get referrals, get more business. Great advice, Selena. Carter, any challenges that you've faced in your pursuit of general carpentry that you care to share and how you've overcome them?
yeah. When I first started getting into it, it's very difficult to start. Once you get going, I think it's a bit easier, but getting started, it's a lot easier if you have someone supporting, someone that can
Mhm.
help back you to try and get you in. Because if you just start going in all alone and you're just trying to learn as much as you can, it can be very difficult to get your feet as you start.
Great, great advice. And how about you, Ethan?
When I was first starting off on my co-op, I had to work my part-time job and co-op at the same time. So at my company, it's very common to do like a little bit more than a 40-hour week. So I would do on the busy times, you'd be at like 45 to 48. I've even done like 50-hour weeks at sometimes just because, jobs run late. There's nothing you can do about it. But so I would have to do that and coordinate my work schedule at my part-time job. And
Mm,
because I was, kind of out every day, I wasn't just kind of in school staying down. I was, out. There was stuff that more expenses, more things that I need to buy. So I need to work more hours. So that was very difficult. It can be very challenging when you're just starting out because you like, especially if you're joining as a co-op kid, because you will notice uh, that working like doing your co-op is more important than your part-time job. But right now, your part-time job makes you money, so it's a
mm,
very hard relationship to deal with, because you obviously need your part-time job right now, but you want to impress your employer on your full-time job, and that was a really big challenge. One of the things that I can suggest is kind of to just stick it out. It sucks and it's gonna suck. Like your friends will want to go out, you want to do this, but it's a little bit of work for a lot to pay off in the future.
mm. Excellent. Thanks, Ethan. And Celina, any challenges that you've had to overcome?
Um, Not like yes, lots, but to try and pinpoint one, would definitely be COVID. I've had my salon for 7 years and being closed for, that whole, it was pretty much like a good year. Like hair salons weren't allowed to open. But someone went first told me I went to a class and they said it was all entrepreneurs and stuff. And I was like 19 at the time and I was so scared because it's all people who are older than me. And I remember this girl saying, like, you're gonna fall and you're gonna fall hard. She goes, but you just gotta make sure that you get back up because
Mm,
what matters is that you keep getting back up. And that's kind of how I felt through COVID. I had my first child then as well. So that was challenging as well as my business being closed and, not having any income coming in. Um, but we overcome it and we're still here today. And like I said, we got back up and we kept just trucking along. And that was a big challenge for me. But
very, very inspiring. I won't ask you about the underground hairstyling that might have went on during COVID because I actually heard that beauty supply stores were sold out even though the beauty salons were closed.
Hmm.
yeah.
Uh, because people have to get their hair done.
Yeah.
So I just two more questions, everybody. I just want to know briefly, as you continue to build your skills, what are some future opportunities that are available to you, Ethan?
Uh, for me right now, the big thing is after Sheridan, I plan on getting my gas and backflow. So gas has three levels. I plan to get my G3 and my G2. G3 is kind of just like a learner's kind of like a learner's like you can't do much, but G2 is kind of the big one that you'll need as far as being a plumber. G1, like your full G, that's like if you were a gas guy, you would get that. But if you're a plumber, the highest that you'll probably need is a G2. So I plan on getting that done, going to night school to do all those over I think it's like I think it takes like a year and a half to get your G2, and you just go like, I think it's like there's different schedules for night school, but that's what I plan to do after while I'm working through my apprenticeship, but just after Sheridan.
Okay, great, great. And Carter, how about you? What's future opportunities lie ahead?
The my one of my favorite things about general carpentry is it's very broad. So I can go and build my own company, like I said I wanted to do. I can go into different fields that I've done some work with. I can work with companies. I can go to a union. So one of my favorite things about this field is that I'm not limited to any one option, and it's similar for Ethan. Like I know plumbing, you get a dish of everything. Like it's not just one thing. So I think the best thing about it is that I have more opportunities than I know what to do with.
Right on, Carter. Excellent. And Selena, open another location?
Maybe we'll see, we'll see. But definitely expanding my business, whether that means, growing my client base, hiring more stylists, and potentially opening, more locations. But we'll see. I have to get my sister fully on board with that first. But yeah, that's kind of what lies in the future. When I opened it was supposed to be me and my sister, and she last minute was just like, yeah, I can't. Like, I was scared, whatever. And then November last year, the girl that was working with me, she left. And so that's when I called my sister up and I was like, hey, like, time to come and let's do this. Let's make this what it was supposed to be. So there's a lot to come in the future, but for
Right.
now, yeah.
I'm very excited about that to hear the updates. I want to hear just from all of you one last response. This is a really important question. There are students who might be interested in pursuing skilled trades. We still, with some exceptions, but we still live in a time where many parents are skeptical, unsure, maybe not even supportive about the pathway. What would be your advice for a student who's sort of wrestling with that lack of parental support? What would you tell them? Ethan, I'm going to start with you.
Um, And not everyone gets it. There's been a big stigma for a long time about the skilled trades. I had that stigma myself. But when I was in eighth grade, I had a great teacher. His name was Mr. Haas, and he would show us this old videos of I think it was a television series, and it would show people and what they did in day-to-day life and how much that they enjoyed it. And it showed that they were smart, that they were educated, that they chose this to be happy. And I think that's one of the big things that destigmatized the trades for me, because I still had like the misconception that tradespeople only did the trades because they had nowhere to go. And that's changing. That's a big thing that's been changing is people now, especially like in my company, a lot of the guys are there because they have made the decision to choose plumbing, which is really great. I think a lot of people just have the misconception that it's somewhere where you go when nothing else works out, or if you're not able to do anything else,
Right.
which is just wrong for many people. Many people are here because this is their passion, this is what they want to do.
Great. Thank you, Ethan. And Celina, what would be your advice?
Um, do what do what you feel right is in your like what your heart is telling you to do, if it's something you love and you're passionate about, and it makes you happy, do it. It's something you have to do for the rest of your life. You work more than you do, anything else really. um and if you're not happy, like, you're just going to be miserable, and
Right.
that's not cool. So if it's something you love, I say go for it. Because there's so many ways that you can grow, and when you're happy, you just succeed that much more.
Right.
So
I like that. It's your life.
yeah, it ultimately is at the end of the day, right? Maybe you can lean into a teacher that can support you and guide you and be that
Right.
support that you need if your parents aren't.
And Carter, no pressure, but last word to you. What's your advice for students who are interested in the skilled trades, but whose parents may not be supportive?
I would just completely agree with Ethan and Celina because back when I was in school, elementary, high school, all of it, I woke up 7 o'clock every day and I dreaded it. And
Mm,
now, most days, I have to wake up 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's rough, but I still love it no matter what because it's what I enjoy doing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So try and find someone that can help you. But if your parents aren't there, just try and do something that no matter what you enjoy doing.
fantastic. Ethan, Selena, Carter, this conversation went longer than I expected. We might have to
Hmm.
edit this down. I am so honored by your contributions and the thoughtfulness of your answers. On behalf of the Halton Catholic District School Board and Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program recruiter Judy Bridges, who set all of this up, thank you very much for spending time with us. And of course, to anyone watching, thank you all and take care. Bye, everyone.